I found this beautiful copy of Dracula at the bookstore yesterday. I thought you'd appreciate it. Wow. No kidding. That is gorgeous. The red part of the cover is felt. That is very pretty. I'm enjoying Dracula very much. The closest I've gotten to reading Dracula is watching the Roger Ebert's Nosferatu, which is of course based on the unlicensed adaptation of Dracula in the old movie Nosferatu, or play, I think, that was made into a movie. Did I say Roger Ebert's? God help me. Not Roger Ebert's, though I'm sure he would have liked it. Eggers, thank you, Eggers. Very good movie, by the way. You've all seen Nosferatu, I assume? It's very, very good. I should rewatch it. I felt like Nosferatu was super overrated. Give me money. Give me money right now. Repent. That is lovely. Oh, wow. Oh, I should get this. Now I just want to add this to my little growing book collection. This is delightful. I liked it until the weird rapey stuff at the end. Do you think the movie was endorsing the weird rapey stuff? Dracula is a rapist. That's sort of... I mean, vampires are like the fundamental rapists, if you think about it. They're rapists both in act and in theme, I guess. Like, Gen Z's trying to cancel Dracula? Okay. You know? It just kind of went over my head, I think. I mean, again, I haven't finished the book, so forgive me, I'm speaking just about Nosferatu, the movie. I haven't even seen the original movie, though I do intend to. My understanding was that, like, Eggers' understanding of the relationship between Victorian sexuality and Dracula, or Count Olaf, I suppose, in Nosferatu, was sublime to me. Because you have this juxtaposition between Count Olaf, right, the omni... Is it Olaf? Who's Olaf then? Olaf. Orlok? Orlok. Thank you. Count Orlok. Thank you. Orlok. Close enough. Who is, of course, like the ultra rapist, right? I mean, sort of like the omni rapist, right? The ultimate conceptual expression of the violation of one's consent. But the situation is muddled due to the presence of legitimately what would you call it? Like suppressed Victorian sexuality. Does this make sense? Like the dynamic is made more interesting. Would Dracula have, or Count Orlok, would Count Orlok have such control over the minds and sexualities of the Victorian Englanders he took advantage of, were they not themselves already stifled sexually and socially? Is it a coincidence that the greatest victims of his psychic interference were well-educated, intelligent, but deeply stifled English aristocrats in the Victorian era? Would he have been able to have done that to other people? Because the influence that he exerts over the other, the patient in the sanatorium, the insane asylum, is a very different kind of influence, right? It's born of the manipulation of his mania and his desire to be servile towards, Count Orlok, towards the aristocracy, but not so to the English aristocrats, no? Renfield, yes, the rat man. You understand me. I thought it was more about the woman being possessed, mostly just all about her being psycho. I would strongly recommend that you rewatch the movie because I think there's a lot of intelligent analysis taking place there that you missed, possibly due to discomfort. What would you call it? I guess the hysteria of the woman who is possessed is a reflection both of the control of the Count and also of her own sexual repression, which is the reason why it was so manifest. In a way, you could argue that of course, literally in the film, the influence of the Count is present and overwhelming. But I think you could argue, allegorically, the Count almost did nothing himself, right? Was he not just a heightening of the existing negative attributes of aristocracy then in Victorian London? Did his presence not just magnify the distinction? What did he do? He brought with him plague and misery, Sure, right, as inequality often does. He commands mania and loyalty from the lower class and exacerbates paranoia, hysteria, sexual delusion, and malice in the upper class. He takes advantage of an existing dynamic. He did not create the underlying emotional tapestry that he took advantage of. He merely took advantage because he's a rapist. You understand? Well, that's just my opinion. You should analyze more books you read. Well, I'm talking about the movie right now. I haven't finished Dracula the book. Okay, but what about anime? I do not want to be insufferable. I don't want to be this. I feel like I'm being led in this direction anyway. But having read at this point now only 1.5 books since I started caring about sort of reintroducing myself to literature, it must be understood even the best anime glance at the depth that you would get in a high quality book. Classic literature will get you 1,000 times as far as even the relatively good anime. Like Neon Genesis Evangelion is well regarded for being deep, and it is, and it's very good, but the analytical weight or like meat you get out of Neon Genesis Evangelion probably still pales in comparison to classic literature. You're getting something that's excellent for the medium and good on its own, but like the standards are often quite low. It's like video game writing, you know? I do really like animation though. I do too, which is why I frequently watch stuff that is well animated but has writing that is much worse than I could get, you know, in other mediums. Disco Elysium? Yes, Disco Elysium is very well written. Fun fact, Bram Stoker said he came up with the idea to write Dracula from a nightmare after eating bad crab. Is that true? Judging from the opening few dozen pages, my assumption was that he came up with the idea to write Dracula after learning very specific kinds of esoteric Eastern European racism. Dracula was out there listing ethnicities no one's heard of or talked about in a long time. He subdivided the Romanian people into like 17 different kinds of micro-ethnic groups, so partitioned that at this point you're basically just talking about like family lines. Glad the Impaler was the first Republican. Yeah, love my Walekians. What was it? Could I find this promptly if I attempted to? I probably could not, which is unfortunate because it is very funny how committed he was to his old racisms. I don't believe that I could find this if I tried to look for it. Oh, he has the book here, How Performative. Well, I have to keep it in my house to read it. For the dead travel fast. So. Be sure to bookmark all your favorite racist bits in the future. Yeah. We Sekelis have a right to be proud, for in our veins flows the blood of many brave races who fought as the lion fights for lordship. Here in the whirlpool of European races, the Ugric tribe bore down from Iceland the fighting spirit which Thor and Woden gave them, which their berserkers displayed to such fell intent on the seaboards of Europe, aye, and of Asia and Africa too, till the peoples thought that the werewolves themselves had come. Here too, when they came, they found the Huns, whose warlike fury had swept the earth like a living flame, till the dying peoples that held in their veins ran the blood of those old witches who, expelled from Scythia, had mated with the devils in the desert. Fools, what devil or what witch is ever so great as Attila, whose blood is in these veins? He held up his arms. Is it a wonder that we were a conquering race, that we were proud, that when the Magyar, the Lombard, the Avar, the Bulgar, or the Turk poured his thousands on our frontiers, we drove them back? Is it strange that when Arpad and his legions swept through the Hungarian fatherland, he found us here when he reached the frontier, and the Honfoglalas was completed there? And this apparently refers to some old genocide. And when the Hungarian flood swept eastward, the Sekelis were claimed as kindred by the victorious Magyars, and to us for centuries was trusted the guarding of that frontier of Turkeyland, aye, and more than that, endless duty of the frontier guard, for, as the Turks say, water sleeps and the enemy is sleepless. Who more gladly than we throughout the four nations received the bloody sword, or at its warlike call flocked quicker than the standard of the king? Something Kasova, Wallach, Magyar, Crescent, Voivode, Dracula. We got to the name. I had to purchase Wi-Fi on the damn flight so that I could look up some of these groups. Please do occasional book reviews. I will happily talk about the books that I read. Though I have to admit, after reading The King in Yellow, I found myself bereft of things to say. It was entertaining, and I can understand why it inspired so much as it did, but I feel like The King in Yellow was, it felt like a creative writing experiment, an exercise from a talented author. It didn't really feel like, it didn't really feel like something that warranted a bunch of analysis. I will reread the classic Lovecraft novels, though, so we'll make more, I think, of the derivative media. There's a great King in Yellow analysis from a channel called Flawed Peacock, though it's 9 hours long. That's longer than I took to read the damn thing. Sheesh. Vaush, quick question. Is My Little Pony good leftist media? For one, no. For two, there's no such thing as good leftist media. What you're doing is trying to ascribe moral intention to something that is meant to be consumed for entertainment and artistic purposes. In reality, media can be good if it is fascist or if it is leftist. It ultimately doesn't matter. Your engagement with the experience is like reading a news article. Is a Fox News article good leftist media? No. But can it be used to further leftist intentions? Yes. Much as we just did so by reading an article in The Atlantic. Is that article in The Atlantic good leftist media? No. But did my reading of it in my own way not, at least to my mind, facilitate my leftist intentions? Yes, of course it did. It's a children's show. It's fine to like it. It doesn't have to be leftist for you to like it.